Are you able to hear and see me right now? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, we are able to hear me. Thank you. So I'm happy to be here with all of you today on the occasion of Janmashtami. And we'll discuss today on the topic of Krishna's appearance. And when Krishna appears, what are the reasons he appears? That is what Kunti Maharani is discussing in these prayers. And we'll look at those prayers. But broadly, let's look at when you talk about the divine descent, the avatar. Janmashtami is now coming tomorrow. Some parts it is today, some parts it is tomorrow. So this is when you're talking about this divine descent. What does it signify? That something actually extraordinary is happening, where the infinite is coming into the domain of the finite. Where the being who is unlimited, who is eternal, comes in the domain of the temporal. So Prabhupada gives the example that if there is a jail and the king decides to come into the jail, the purpose of the king coming to the jail is primarily to enable. The king is not under the laws of the jail. The king is not bound by the laws, but the king comes. So it's an extraordinary event. The king has so many things to do. How many times do we hear about, say, the Prime Minister of India going to a Tihar jail, or the President of America may talk about sending illegal immigrants to some jails or creating some new jails to send them there. But the idea of someone coming there is rare. That the head of state itself coming to a particular place is relatively a rare occurrence. So when this happens, naturally the question comes, why is the king going to the jail? Why is the head of the state deciding that I need to go to a jail? Does the head of state even need to go? So naturally, if we consider is having some special, some very important prisoner is there who might reveal some state secrets of some other country, or it might be that he wants to see the conditions of the jail or whatever. So why would that person go into the jail? So there will naturally be speculation. Sometimes we use the word speculation in a negative sense, but it doesn't always have to be in a negative sense. The word speculation means it's a educated guess. Srila Prabhupada also
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. There's some internet
guesses like this, where she's saying some people say this and some people say that. And then
I think there's an internet issue, Prabhuji. The voice is stopped. Is it stopped for others also, or?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji's voice is breaking.
Connection is poor.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see how
Yes,
it goes.
Prabhuji.
Sorry about this.
Back we couldn't hear, Prabhuji.
Okay. So, okay. Okay, Prabhu, please don't disturb me. If you're talking, talk outside. No? Let me continue the class. So, I was talking about why Krishna descends. Kunti Maharani is giving various reasons. Now, it's interesting. Krishna himself gives a purpose in the Bhagavad Gita, Dharma Samsthapanarthaya Sambhavami Yuge Yuge. And now, this is a well-known principle. Let's look at how here Kunti Maharani is analyzing it, and then we'll try to see how it applies. For us, Janmashtami is not just a one-time event that happened thousands of years ago. It's a perennial event that is meant to happen in our heart. Krishna is also meant to appear in our heart. So we'll try to understand how that dynamic works for us today. Kechidahur ajam jatam punya shlokasya kirtaye yado priyasyan bhavaye malayas iva chandanam. So now, she's saying one reason is Kechid ahur ajam jatam. The Lord appears punya shlokasya kirtaye for the glorification of the pious kings. And yado priyasan vavaye malayas iva chandanam. And he appears in the Yadu dynasty. So if you will see, when Kunti Maharani is speaking, she starts with more of contextual reasons. And then she will move towards the eternal reason. Contextual is Krishna has appeared at a particular time, at a particular place. That's contextual. So she's now looking at the contextual reason first. Now, after looking at the contextual reasons, we'll look at what all she says with that for the glorification of the pious kings. So it can refer to the Yadus, it can refer to Yudhishthira Maharaj, but basically, Krishna appears to glorify the pious kings. So what does this literally mean? In our, if we see, when Krishna talks about dharma, there is a social aspect to dharma and an individual aspect to dharma. Individual aspect is where Arjuna is asking, what is the right thing for me to do? Pruchhami tvam dharma sammudha cheta. And the social or collective aspect to dharma, when Krishna is saying that dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. 4.8. What this means is that Krishna is appearing for changing the social order. So now when he appears, it may not be that immediately that social order is corrected, is restored. It may take some years. It took more than nearly a decade or more for Krishna to destroy Kamsa. It took a little more time for Lord Ram to destroy Ravan. But now, in this way, when the vicious kings are destroyed, then the pious kings are glorified. So Krishna made Yudhishthira Maharaj famous. Krishna wanted Yudhishthira Maharaj to be enthroned, to have the Rajasri Yagya performed. So now Krishna, so that is another contextual reason is the Yadus. Yado Priyasan Vavaye. That he came to glorify the Yadus because they were very dear to him. He wanted to please them. They wanted him to Now here it is described that also Devaki performed some tapasya previously, and because of which he has appeared. That is described in the now in the Yadu dynasty appeared. Now this goes back to the king Yadu. Long time ago, he was a king, and in that dynasty he was glorified. Now apare vasudevasya devakyam yachito abhyagat ajastamasya kshemaya vadhaya suradvishan. So now here, this is what most correlates with the Gita's point that paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya chadushkritam. That apare vasudevasya devakyam yachito abhyagad. So they prayed for you And when you came in response to their prayers, you did two things. Tvam asya kshemaya. Asya kshemaya means you protected these people, and vadhaya cha suradvisham. Suradvisham is those who are envious, those who are jealous, you destroyed them. So this is correlating with Bhagavad Gita. Now the next one, it's almost something which is prophesying eventual cosmic battle. Bharavatarnayanye bhuvona vivodadhau sidantya bhuri bharena jato ya atma bhuvartita. Jato ya atma bhuvartita. That you appeared in this world for what? Bharavatarnayanye. To remove the burden of the earth. Now this is a very curious phrase, that does the Lord come simply to kill people? Ultimately, everybody is a child of God. So why would Krishna come? Why would Krishna consider his own children, the souls, to be burdens on the earth? And why would Krishna want to destroy them? So that is a valid question. And the answer to that centers around the point that it is not the soul who is a burden. It is the conditioned soul who does actions that are troublesome. So the soul is never a burden, but the soul's actions can be burdensome. And when the Lord removes the burden, what does he do? He never destroys the soul. The soul is indestructible. What he does is he actually comes to stop the evil actions of those souls who are driven by their conditionings and are misusing their free will. And then he allows them to actually come closer to him by being cleansed of those sinful tendencies, by being killed by the Lord, or by getting the due punishment for their wrong actions. They now move forward in the next life. Now the next verse is where Kunti Maharani is giving now a timeless reason. The timely reason, because Krishna says, Sambhavami yuge yuge. Why does he have to come yuga after yuga? The negative reason is that in the world there is trouble again and again. In physics, we have what is called the law of entropy, where the order of a system keeps degrading and it keeps degenerating into a disorder. So that is the sakalene hamata yogo nakshta parantapa. So the negative reason is that things keep getting, disorder keeps increasing, and Krishna has to come to restore order. And the more positive reason is that Krishna comes because he wants to establish, because of his unlimited love for us. Because his love is unlimited, that's how he keeps coming into this world again and again. And when he comes in this way again and again in this world, the purpose is that the Bhagavatam gives the example that like there are waves in an ocean, Mrugayanti. That like that there are as many avatars as there are waves in the ocean. That means there are countless. So the Lord comes again and again because his love is unlimited. So either way, these are all. Now what she says is the last reason. Bhavesmin klishyamananam avidya kama karma bhi shravan smaranarhani karishaniti kechana. She doesn't provide this as a conclusive reason, but this is the last reason. Now in the Nyaya's Vedic logic, which is used to analyze various books and what their meaning is. So often there is a debate in Nyaya, which is the most important statement? Which is it the starting statement or the ending statement? So, Athato Brahma Jigyasa, for example. This is a starting statement. It's a very important statement. And there's an ending statement. So, for example, one of the ending statements in the Gita is Sarva Dharman Parityajya or Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. Now, if we consider in comparison, is Dharma Kshetra Kurukshetra more important or Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna more important? Well, we could make an argument in favor of both. the last one is actually much more significant because it is depicting the supremacy of the Lord. That not just of the Lord, but the supremacy of those who will be devoted to the Lord. So my point is that there could be a debate in logic whether the starting statement is the most important or the ending statement is the most important. And generally speaking, the tendency is to declare that the last sentence is the most important sentence. That now, sometimes it could be that the highest point is given first, and then there is the highest point is not possible, so lower and lower points are given. That is possible. Then the highest first, and then oh, you can't do this, then do this. So then it will happen that the lowest, the last statement would be the least important. The starting will be the most important. But generally speaking, how it would be is the starting would be, say, a speaker may say, today I'm going to speak on this topic. And the speaker starts speaking, and as they continue speaking, and finally there are these arguments are refuted, these points are explained. And then start would be more like a proposition or a general description of the topic that is going to be discussed. And at the ending will be the definitive call for action or the definitive point to remember as some sticky point. You forget everything from this talk, just remember this one point. So like that. So in general, the ending is considered more important. So from that perspective, we can say that this last line is the most important thing. And what does this last line say? Bhavesmin klishyamanana avidya kama karma bhi. So in this world, so why does the Lord come? That if we consider this is the spiritual world, the material world, and the Lord comes to the spiritual, from the spiritual world to material world, for giving a facility for souls to be elevated, to be liberated. And not just at that time, but for all time. The souls who are caught in material existence, when they hear about the Lord, they become attracted to the Lord. Shravana smaran arhani karishan iti kechana. So going back to the earlier example of a jail. Sometimes in a jail, also there might be some prison reform programs, and there might be some prisoners who might have reformed themselves in exemplary ways. So the head of state might come to reward such prisoners. Sometimes the head of state might come that some prisoners are in big trouble, so they might be further punished. There might be solitary confinement for them. There might be further punishment, and that the king might come to witness that, to impose that. Sometimes the king may just come. These are such trouble creators in prison that we don't even want them to stay in prison. We will just execute them. So the prisoner king might come for that also. These are like somewhat related to the previous reasons. But the king's main purpose in coming to the prison is to inspire the prisoners to leave the prison, to inspire them to come back to life beyond the walls of the prison. So that is what Kunti Maharani is saying. If you consider the jail metaphor, the key point is to release. Now, when we talk about release, I'll make 2 points and then we can open for question and answers or comments. When we talk about release, there are 2 things which for us to be released from material existence, that makes it difficult. The first problem is that we don't know that we are bound. That we don't even know that, okay, there is something which is binding me. And the second is that we don't know there is a better life, there is a free life elsewhere. So we don't know. Most people nowadays don't know about anything like the spiritual world. They don't believe in the spiritual world. They think it is like some kind of a religious, pre-scientific religious mythology. So basically the idea is that when do we make a change in our life? So that is the broader principle we'll talk about. When do we make a change in our life? When either the present situation becomes too painful to bear, or a future different situation is too desirable, too attractive to say no to. So that is the basic dynamic of change. That, say, if we are staying in one particular place, in one particular house, and there's another place where we might go and get a house. So when will we go from place A to place B? Either we feel place A is not good enough, or it's too bad to stay on. Sometimes people may say that when their presence is very bad, so what do you have to lose? Things cannot be worse than what they are right now. Let's leave this and go somewhere else. So when people become refugees, nowadays there are a lot of political refugees who go from one country to another country. Sometimes they are not political refugees, they are just economic seekers, just looking for better financial situation. But sometimes they are refugees because there's war and there's religious persecution and things like that. So the present is so bad, what do I have to lose? Let me just go somewhere else. Let me see maybe there's a better life in another part of the world. Or the other is that the other side is too good to say no to. So for example, somebody might be, say, to consider a contemporary example, those who have come from India to America. Some people might have been in terrible poverty, maybe terrible caste discrimination or reverse caste discrimination or terrible corruption or whatever, because of which they felt, I just can't stay over here. I'm suffocated here. I have to leave from here. So that could be, I don't want to be here. But the other could be that, okay, yeah, they may be from a well-educated family, well-to-do family, fairly okay life. But America is the stuff of dreams. Of course, right now with all the political turbulence, things are different. But if that is so desirable, I want to go there. It's not that my present situation is terrible. It's not that my present situation is dreadful. But that is so wonderful that I just want to go there. So this same dynamic, we need to get that impetus for our spiritual growth. So when will we grow spiritually? Like I said, Krishna comes to the material world, which is like a jail, to release us. But it is not that Krishna can just move a magic wand or Krishna can just move Sudarshan Chakra and we are free and we will go out. It's not like that, because there are these twin illusions. One is that we don't feel as if we are bound. We don't feel that there's anything seriously wrong. Yeah, things are wrong, but they are not incorrigibly wrong. Okay, they're wrong, but if I just adjust this, it'll become better. If I adjust that, that will become better. So we think like that, and therefore, okay, it's not all that important for me to move. So that is where, for us to recognize, there are certain phases in history where life becomes unbearable. At other phases, it may be difficult, but it may not be unbearable. So, and sometimes it may be mildly pleasant also. So, for example, before the Russia-Ukraine war started, and then after that, the Palestine and Israel war started, and then India-Pakistan had a brief conflict. Before that, relatively speaking, in the Western world, there was a phase of peace after the Second World War, relative peace for a few decades. But then there are always upheavals that keep happening. So for us, if we are already in a disturbed situation, you can see that as a reminder that Krishna is coming here to inspire me to come back to him. So therefore, if we are in a disturbed situation, then yes, then take that as an immediate impetus. Right now, yes, I'm seeing the naked reality of this world. Let me focus on my Krishna Bhakti. And if we are not in a disturbed situation right now, then what do? Then we see it as what in the academic line something called like a preparatory leave. That this is a temporary departure from the nature of the world, just so that Krishna is giving me an opportunity to focus undistracted, wholehearted on him. So that way we can, either in happiness or in distress, whether in discomfort or not in discomfort, we can see that, okay, right now I might be in a comfortable situation, but I won't be here like that all the time. Let me move forward. When I was introduced to Bhakti about some 30 years ago, sorry, at that time, I started sharing about Bhakti to all my friends and my relatives. So one of my uncles said, God, oh, I have a very good relationship with God. I said, okay, what do you mean by a good relationship? I never heard you talk about anything spiritual or read any sacred books or go to any sacred places. So he said, my good relationship with God is mutual non-interference. You are happy there, I am happy here. Now that is not a healthy way to live. We may be happy here right now, but we won't be happy here for very long. Things do take a downturn sooner or later. So that's why it is good to contemplate on our present situation to give ourselves an impetus for change. This is not the way I want to live. This change does not have to be only when I go to the spiritual world that I'll become happier. And we may say, who has seen the spiritual world? No, it can be when I go to a higher consciousness, when I have less attachments, when I have less distractions, and when my consciousness is absorbed in Krishna, what will happen? Small things will not irritate me so much. Small things will not disturb me so much. And I can be so much calm and focused. I can do so much more. I can make my life so much better. So that way, the results of Krishna Bhakti can be seen in this life also. You don't have to wait for the next life. But the point is that this is not the way I want to live. This is not the way my life is meant to be. I am meant for a better life. So we need to get that impetus by looking at our present situation and seeing it not from the point of complaining, Krishna, why is this person not listening to me? And why am I not able to do this? Why is this not working out? Krishna, I need to rise to a higher consciousness. So basically, how we can look at our present to get an impetus. And then the second part is that, so when Krishna comes to this world, if we consider for Srila Prabhupada's time, probably 60 years ago before, in 1965, when Prabhupada came to America, nobody would have thought that, nobody would have seriously thought that actually Krishna consciousness, the message of the Bhagavad Gita, will spread as widely as it has spread. When Prabhupada came to the coast of America, what was he thinking? He says, Ei Ugrasthane, Krishna, why have you brought me to this terrible place? Ajastamo Gunera Sabai Yachan. They're all covered by the modes of passion and ignorance. My Lord, you must have some purpose, otherwise, Ache Kichu Karjatabe Ei Anumane. Ani Bena Ei Ugrasthane. Why would you bring me to this place, O Lord? So when that thought came, for Prabhupada, he was convinced that despite the prosperity of America, that it was a place afflicted by immense spiritual poverty. So from that present, where practically nobody knew about Krishna, to now where millions and millions of people all over the world know about him. That is a huge change. So we can see the change from one time to another time that has happened. We can look at our own life. We can look at others' lives. And that way, we all can learn how we can move ahead in our life. That what can we do that this change is possible. So from there, now we have practically a temple in every major city of the world. We have Rath Yatras in every major cities of the world. So that change has come about even in our manifest level. We can look at our own lives to see where we were. I mean, before we started Bhakti 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And yes, problems were there now, problems are there now also. There at that time, problems are there now also. But definitely we have made some progress. We have come to a better place. And if we understand this, then we can keep moving forward toward a better place. So that is what we envision a future. We look at take a hard look at our present, and we take a hopeful look at the future. And when we do these two things, that transformation, if we seek, Krishna's descent is meant to help us bring about that transformation. So Krishna says, Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. That also refers to our own heart. In our own heart, there are some desires which are sadhu, which are good desires, noble desires. So we want our existence to matter. We want to do something of value for others in this world, something of enduring value for ourselves when we leave this world and go ahead. So those are the healthy desires inside us. But those healthy desires are currently being attacked. They are being tormented. And who are tormenting them? Dushkritinam. There are so many unhealthy desires within us. I want to buy this, I want to eat this, I want to watch this, I want to touch this, I want to parade, I want to exhibit this. I want so many things. So those are like the desires, they keep tormenting us. Those desires, they don't let us be happy. So then what do? That Krishna descends, vinashaya cha dushkritam. So those unhealthy desires, Krishna descends to destroy them. And in this way, dharma samsthapanarthaya. Dharma samsthapan is the order in our heart, the harmony of the human heart with the divine heart. That is established through the appearance of Krishna and the mercy that he bestows. So the dushkritinam, the unhealthy desires, and the sadhunam, the healthy desires. So Krishna can do all this. He can destroy the unhealthy desires. He can strengthen and reassure the healthy desires. But it has to begin with us. This is 4.7 and 8. After this, Krishna will talk about 4.11. Ye thamam prapadyante tam sathaiva bhajami. So if we approach him, Krishna, I want to serve you. I want to love you. I want to be a part of your plan. You can make my life so much better than what it is right now. Please, Krishna, take charge of my life. Then Krishna will do that for us. So Janmashtami is not just a time for anticipation. Oh, Krishna will appear in my heart. That's definitely Krishna appear in this world and Krishna will appear in my heart. But the Janmashtami is much more than a time for anticipation. It is a time for dedication. That Krishna, my heart is for you. My life is for you. As Prabhupada said that, Nachao, nachao, prabhu, nachao se mate, kashtera puttali jata, nachao se mate. So the anticipation will open our heart to Krishna, and that is good. When finally at midnight on Janmashtami, when darshan opens and we get the beautiful darshan of Krishna decorated in whichever temple we are going to, it's wonderful. But the import of Janmashtami will fulfill not so much by Krishna's appearance, but by the appearance of our desire for Krishna. So Krishna's appearance can remind us that there is a far better life for us. And if Krishna's appearance inspires the appearance of our desire for Krishna, we all have some desire, but you can say for a stronger desire for Krishna, then that is the way our life will become enriched. Our life and our heart will become enriched with Krishna's presence. So I'll summarize what I discussed today. 3 main points. I started by first talking about how when Krishna appears, his purpose in this world, to understand that it's like a king coming to a jail. So why would he come? There are many opinions. And Kunti Maharani gives various contextual opinions for this king, for this purpose. And then she gives a universal, timeless opinion. That is, Krishna comes to attract our hearts. So 1:8:32 to 34 are the contextual reasons. And 35 is the universal reason. So then, with that jail metaphor, we continued. For us, if Krishna is going to appear, his ultimate purpose is not to just punish the criminals or reward the criminals. It's ultimately to release them, release those who are in jail. But for release, there are 2 obstacles. One is that we don't know that we are bound. and we don't know that there is a free life, or there's a free life that is better. So this twin awareness, that how do we get that? Basically, we need to understand how change happens mainly when there are two things we contemplate. How my present is dreadful, how dreadful my present is, or how wonderful my future can be. And that can apply to any area in life. That now, if even one of these is that my present is dreadful, then I just want to go somewhere else. This is not the way I want to live. So what do I have to lose? So that's one way of looking at it. The present is dreadful, but the future is wonderful. Oh, my present may not be bad, but I want to go. That's a better future. Now, if you can have both, a conviction that things in this material world are terrible, and things in the spiritual world, and not just the spiritual world, but the spiritual level of consciousness can be terrific, then we can, it's a journey of consciousness that we can become determined that from a terrible situation, I can move towards a terrific situation. And the last part we discussed is specifically about Janmashtami, celebration of Janmashtami. Krishna will appear. Krishna has appeared, and Krishna will keep appearing every year. When Krishna appears, the point is that our devotion is seen in two distinct ways. One is the anticipation. Oh, when will Krishna appear? That is, the appearance of Krishna is wonderful, but what is even more important is the dedication. Krishna, the appearance of a strong desire for Krishna, if that comes, then Krishna can cleanse us from within. Krishna will do the dharma samsthapan in our heart. Dharma in our heart by the healthy desires Krishna will strengthen, paritranaya sadhuna, and the unhealthy desires he will weaken and destroy, and he will exile. Vinashaya cha dushkritam. So let us pray that Krishna appears in our heart, and along with it appears a strong desire for Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for this nectar class, which was most awaited, and bringing the mood of Krishna Janmashtami. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. I don't have any question. Please go ahead, devotees, if you have a question. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Yashoda, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you so much for the wonderful class. I joined a little late, but I thank you for summarizing the 3 points that helped me. I only have, I always get a little confused with, somewhere we read like we should not trouble Krishna for our desire, and we should not ask anything. While we say like, Krishna, take charge of me. So I feel like sometimes I feel like, am I doing something contrary to what I'm requesting? Because when he takes charge, he has to do everything for me. I mean, he is anyway doing everything for us.
It depends on what we mean by when we take charge of Krishna, or when we say Krishna take charge of me. See, Krishna is, as God, is not just a protector, he's an empowerer. Protector would mean that, okay, there are some thieves coming attacking us. We call the police come and drive away the thieves. But Krishna is not a protector like that. Krishna doesn't say, I am the hero, just watch how heroic I am. Krishna says, I am a hero, you join my team, and you will become a hero in my service. Krishna tells Arjuna, you rise, you fight, you gain glory. So Krishna is an empowerer. An empowerer is like, oh, there are too many criminals over here. We will, not only the police will come and save you, the police will come and give you guns and will train you to fight. So you go and shoot the criminals. You bring law, bring order and justice. So Krishna is here to empower us. So when we say to take charge of our life, does not mean that Krishna has to do everything. Krishna does things through us and we do things for Krishna. It's like a citizen who decides to join the country is under attack, and citizen joins the army. So when the citizen is saying to the head of the state, to the military commander, take charge of me, that means order me what I want, what am I to do, and then I will do it. So the human individuality is never lost. And as far as asking Krishna is concerned, see, the point is sometimes one thing gets emphasized at the expense of everything else. And then we forget that the point of bhakti is to develop a relationship with Krishna. And in a relationship, naturally, there is reciprocation. In any relationship, we do something for the other person does something for us. That is the essence of any relationship. Now, the question is not that whether we do something or the other person does something for us. The question is, what is the nature of the reciprocation? Is it transactional or is it transformational? Transactional relationship means, well, you go to a shopkeeper, we give some money and they give us some product. So that's transactional. We don't even care who is there in the who is the attendant over there in the shopping mall or whatever. But transformational means that, say, if two people come and talk with each other, they have a heart-to-heart discussion. I speak something, the other person hears, the other person speaks something, I hear. So after this, what happens is there's a transformation. The two people are coming closer to each other. So the point is not whether we ask Krishna anything or not. The point is whether we are going closer to Krishna or not. By asking Krishna, if we are only getting frustrated with Krishna because he's not fulfilling our desires, then that is not healthy. On the other hand, by not asking Krishna, if our heart stays cold and distant from Krishna, so then that is also not going to be very helpful. That when Draupadi was in trouble, she called to Krishna. And Gajendra was in trouble, he called to Krishna. So is it that in the name of pure devotional service, Draupadi should have said, Krishna, whatever happens, I'll accept it. She accepted that, Krishna, whatever happens, I'll accept it. But she called out to Krishna. Gajendra called out to Krishna. So I think we have a very lopsided understanding of purity in bhakti. You know, Krishna is not like the ultimate torturous taskmaster who says, you have to give everything to me and you have no right to ask anything from me. If you ask anything from me, then that is a defect in your devotional service and I'll reject you for that. This is a preposterous misunderstanding of how any relationship works. So pure devotional service means we want to come closer to Krishna. And for coming closer to Krishna, we want to bond tightly with Krishna. For that, whatever is anukul, sometimes it is asking, sometimes it is accepting. Krishna, okay, this is what I thought would be good for me. This is what good for my service to you. But if it's not happening, I accepted Krishna. So there are 3 points in the answer. The first is that every relationship has some kind of reciprocation. The point is not the reciprocation, but the purpose of the reciprocation. And bhakti, we should not worry so much about purity that there is no relationship left only in the name of purity. You have to have a relationship. And Krishna is not a taskmaster, a torturous taskmaster. Krishna is a loving Lord. And naturally, we can ask things which will help us move closer to him. So when we are asking, take charge of my life, it is Krishna, empower me. Make me Krishna is engage me in your service. So I want to do your will. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, Danat Pranam, all Krishna Prabhupada. Sorry for this late question. Your classes are philosophically so clarifying, and philosophical clarity is so important for stability in bhakti in the middle of all the problems in material life, and so empowering. I have one small question regarding the different stages of bhakti, right? So in the early stage, you may be somebody may be attracted in the service, physical service or whatever. Kaya manovacha, some service, and then in the service he may find fulfillment. And then there is an association angle also. When he's doing service, he associates with people in the higher stature. He gets enthusiastic. and he comes closer to Krishna. But some little higher, he goes into some bhajan, ekanta bhajan, and further higher, he has reaped the fruit of the ekanta bhajan, and he sees everybody. I mean, uttam adhikari level. He sees, but in between somewhere, he needs more of ekanta bhajan, and at that time, if there is a demand for the service, then his ekanta bhajan is the basis of his bhakti. If his, I mean, he may not find fulfillment. I mean, in the service he has already done, and
So there is
for-
an individual element to bhakti, and each individual has to take responsibility for how best they can grow in bhakti. And I won't put it so simply that place A is lower and place B is higher. Ultimately, what pleases Krishna is the highest. So if Prabhupada had wanted to ekanta bhajan, he could have just stayed in Vrindavan, and he could have been doing ekanta bhajan. But Prabhupada left Vrindavan, and he had to deal with so many logistics, getting the visa, getting the sponsorship, finding a place to stay, dealing with people who were completely unconnected from any kind of even basic sattvic culture, or to speak of devotional culture. So that was Prabhupada did out of compassion. And when devotees do it, we do it out of a service to Srila Prabhupada. So rather than worrying too much and going with a stereotypical understanding that this is higher and this is lower, the point is we should become connected with Krishna. And each person has to take responsibility to understand how best do I feel connected with Krishna. Now, feeling connected is not just, oh, I enjoy Krishna. Kirtans are there, I go into the Kirtan and I enjoy Kirtan. That's nice. Of course, Krishna wants us to be happy. But like in any relationship, the intimacy in the relationship comes by taking responsibility. It comes by taking responsibility. Anybody can say, I love you. You need this to be done. I will make sure that it gets done. That's a practical expression of love. So for us, we have to take responsibility for our relationship with Krishna. And taking responsibility is not always joyful. Taking responsibility causes anxiety also. Now, what responsibility who takes, that may vary. Some devotees may take responsibility to build a temple. Some devotees may take responsibility to organize a big festival. Some devotees may decide, take responsibility, I'll study Shastra, I'll immerse myself in Shastra, and that way I will serve Krishna, serve others. Some devotees may say, I want to take responsibility for my consciousness and I will get into solitary bhajan. So now ultimately each one of us has to make that decision ourselves, and each one has to be honest with ourselves. So two things I would say: avoid the stereotypical idea that this is higher and this is lower. We have to, rather than focusing on what is higher and what is lower, focus on what is anukul and what is pratikul. So there are times for all of us when we do need some seclusion. We need some exclusive focus on Krishna. At the same time, it is generally very difficult to have that exclusive focus on Krishna constantly. If somebody told us, so from tomorrow onwards, for the next 3 years, you have no financial obligation, no social obligations, no service obligations, just chant constantly, just sing constantly. No, I doubt whether any of us will be able to do that for a long time. Maybe for a few days, maybe for a few weeks, but afterwards it will be very difficult. So in general, so the first point is avoid this stereotypical idea of this is higher, this is lower. Do an honest self-assessment of what is anukul and what is pratikul. And secondly, the mind is a chronic complainer. So in general, whatever situation we are in, the mind will complain about the situation. That, oh, I got so much service over here, that's why I can't focus on Krishna. Okay, we get no service. Oh, I did so much service, but nobody cares for me now. Nobody even asks me where I am. Nobody asks me what I'm doing. The mind will find some reason to complain everywhere. So now we have to be honest with ourselves and see how best we can connect with Krishna. And yes, each of us can find like-minded association, Sajatiya Sangha. So, and in that, we can grow in bhakti.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for coming to our congregation and giving a class. It's like Krishna himself has come, for me at least, because, your lectures, your Gita daily, so much inspiring. You have so many different angles of looking at the Shastra. So thank you very much for all your service, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, my question for you is, you mentioned about change, and we know that we always have to think about the better place we want to go to, as well as the bad state we are in. Um, so in bhakti, we shouldn't be complacent and always be trying to for greater purity. And then we also hear examples of, for example, Srila Prabhupada said that the devotee mother who was just bringing water in Vrindavan, she's going to the spiritual world. She's just doing that service and not trying to do more and more. So how can we understand what we need to do? Always striving for more Krishna consciousness, or just be steady in our service? Hare Krishna.
I think let's focus on the principle of a relationship with Krishna. Sometimes then we can take one statement and absolutize that statement. So if you focus on the principle that we have to develop a relationship with Krishna, consider how we develop a relationship with anyone else. Well, Krishna is of course not anyone else. Krishna is a supreme person. But the principle of relationship building is not much different. So is it that we have to do more and more service, or is it that we continue with the same service study? No, the point is that we should be moving closer and closer to Krishna. And how do we make closer and closer to Krishna? Sometimes it could be that we express our closeness to Krishna or express our longing for that closeness by wanting to do more and more things for Krishna. And sometimes it can be by continuing to do the same thing steadily. So it depends on context. It is not that one or the other. Suppose it also depends on a little bit on temperament. Some people function best with structure and order in their lives. Okay, this is the time I wake up, this is the time I complete this is the time I do this is the time I do this. And for them, say services like Pujari services or something like that, which is very structured and orderly, that works very well for them. But some people, they flourish more in spontaneity and adventure. And if things are very structured, they feel suffocated by it. So for such people, services like book distribution or traveling preaching, where it's okay, you meet new people and sometimes you have to decide, okay, this person I want to spend 1 minute with him, this person I may spend 1 hour with this person. So each of us has to understand ourselves too, so that we can offer ourselves to Krishna. So however our heart gets most connected with Krishna, so some people may take a study service and continue it lifelong. And they say, okay, I'll build this community and this is the community I'll take care of. Somebody say, okay, I've done this project, I want to then move to the next project now. I want to move to the next project. So Bhima and Yudhishthir were very different. But Bhima was much more confrontational. Yudhishthir was much more non-confrontational. And both of them served Krishna in their own way. Yudhishthir didn't have to become Bhima, and Bhima didn't have to become Yudhishthir. Okay. So thank you very much.
Thank you so
Krishna
much.
Bhagavan ki jai.
Jai.
Janmashtami Mahotsav ki jai.
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Go Premanande.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Anybody has any question or comment? Prabhuji left. Prabhuji is here. Okay.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam for your time, and happy Krishna Janmashtami. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Vancha
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Ram Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo
कोटि वैष्णव की जय, नमाचार्य दास ठाकुर की जय, जय श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, प्रभुपाद की जय, हिज ग्रेस चैतन्य चरण प्रभु की जय।
Jai.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Happy Janmashtami.
Happy Janmashtami.
Happy Janmashtami. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.